Namaskar friends. Cockpit voice recorder, black box. Air India air crash happened last month. So some information, preliminary report has come out. Let us see what has happened. Before we board a flight, what if we are told that one tiny switch can decide our fate, our life? It can lead to death of 260 people. This is what we are going to discuss in this video. A retired aircraft investigation expert is breaking down why a small switch might have brought down an entire aircraft. On June 12th, just a regular morning, an Air India Dreamliner aircraft takes off from Ahmedabad heading to London, carrying with it some 242 passengers and crew members. The plane was only in the air for just about 32 seconds. In the next instant, it crashed into a medical college hospital, killing 260 people. 241 from the aircraft, one person survived providentially, and some 20 plus students from the hostel. The reason both engines failed, reason is the fuel flow was stopped. The fuel cutoff switches moved from run to cutoff mode. How? The cockpit voice recording says one pilot is asking the other pilot, why did you cut that off? He says, I didn't cut. Goosebumps, right? How could both switches move at the same time? That is a catch. The group captain Aurobindo Handa, retired former DG of Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, says it is extremely unlikely for both switches to move together like that. So was this something someone already knew about? Yes. Back in December 2018, Boeing, via its usual advisory, released an advisory. What it says in the advisory is, these fuel cutoff switches, called gated switches, over time they get worn out and become loose. Once worn out, they can move without anyone touching them. And what did that advisory recommend? On condition change, meaning if it looks worn out, replace it. So there is no mandatory advice to change their so-called gated switch. Okay, the word mandatory is not there. Looking back now, we all agree it should have been mandatory. Coming from Air Force background person, that is same Mr. Handa, he says with things like engines, ejection seats, the Air Force never takes chances. Reason? Safety is paramount. This switches the engine control, and if it fails, it is nothing but mid-air flame out. So there should have been better judgment, he says. Now imagine this, a small switch clearly getting worn out. The manufacturer says, just keep an eye on it. Replace it only if needed, that's it. But India's DGCA, the main aviation regulator, when they received that advisory, they did not make it mandatory. So can we blame DGCA? First of all, the manufacturer, Boeing, is known for creating all junk flights. You take the case of African air crash. Due to one battery failure, the aircraft fell like a stone, killing all the people on board. So should we blame Boeing? Should we blame Air India? Or should we blame DGCA? Air India, of course, is now run by Tata company. The Dreamliner was purchased by Indian government when the Air India was under the control of government. So whom should we blame? Of course, the retired Air Force officer gives a sensible answer. This is still early phase of investigation. It usually takes 4 to 5 months to fully understand the facts. Let us not speculate. Let's stick to what we know. Yes, one thing he prizes is transparency. India releasing the preliminary report, that was bold and important. Why? 260 lives are lost. Families deserve to know the truth. Looking back is always easy. We shouldn't have replaced that part. We should have done this part. Whatever it is. How did we miss it? But aircraft aren't just technical machines. They are a mix of science and miracle. Even if one small component fails, the result can be catastrophic, which we have seen last month. That is why planes are built with so many and backups and fail safes. But in this case, ignoring the fuel switch advisory, it was a missed opportunity. Again, having such a switch manufactured by Boeing is another blunder by people who buy from Boeing. It is a chilling reminder. A worn-out piece of a metal, invisible to the eye, can silently decide hundreds of fates, hundreds of lives. Can we ignore such things? We should be very careful when we go for procuring aircraft also. Okay. In airlines thing, even a small things cannot be left to chance. Okay. Now what is the moral of the story? As we already discussed, just prior to the crash, one pilot heard saying, "Why did you cut that off?" Another pilot replied, "I didn't." Within seconds, the flight fell down on the ground. They called Mayday, Mayday. Mayday is emergency SOS. And we lost 260 people. Of course, we have to wait for the final report to pinpoint who is at fault. But for the present, Boeing cannot be kept above board. Boeing manufacturers are known for their failures. And they have to answer the loss of life also. Let us wait for the final report. Namaskar.